Hello and good evening. The main stories in London. After his killer was recalled to jail for allegedly rapping about his crime, more pain for the mother of murdered teen Jimmy Mizen. She now learns he could be moved to an open prison.
If he carries on as he has been, he might as well stay in prison. You know, it's a waste of time.
Reforms rally at the Excel to showcase their candidate for mayor. But what are Layla Cunningham's capital credentials? Bromley by Bowie, how the Starman's childhood home is being turned into an immersive experience for fans. And
I'm off on my culinary travels again.
cooking up a storm in the Caribbean, legendary TV chef Ainsley Harriott is here to tell us all about his new show in the Bahamas. Good evening. The mother of Jimmy Mizen, who was murdered in 2008, says plans to move his killer to an open prison brings the pain flooding back. Margaret Mizen has told ITV News London Jake Farry might as well stay in prison if he continues to show no remorse for killing Jimmy, then 16, after an altercation in Lee in South East London. Farry, who is now 36, was given a life sentence with a minimum term of 14 years. He was released on licence in 2023, but recalled last year following claims he'd been producing music that detailed the murder. Helen Keenan reports.
It was this music video that put murderer Jake Farhy back in jail. Now he's expected to be moved to an open prison. He denied to a parole board that the lyrics boasted about killing 16-year-old Jimmy Mizen in Lee, who'd only left home to buy a lottery ticket. Now Jimmy's mum has to relive the ordeal again.
When these things come about, all the memories of that day come to the forefront, really, and the pain the pain's always there, but it's intensified.
The night before Jimmy was killed was his birthday. He bled out after his killer struck him with a glass tray at a bakery. A year later, Jake Farhy, then 19, was given a life sentence. After serving his minimum term of 14 years, he was released on licence. But last year was recalled after producing drill music that reportedly included details about the murder.
I don't mind him going to an open prison if in that open prison he starts to mature and learn how to lead a life that's kind, because if he carries on as he has been, he might as well stay in prison. You know, it's a waste of time.
Do you worry about him going to an open prison and being given plenty of freedom? Do you think he's shown enough remorse for that?
Do I worry? Yes, obviously a little bit. I think I'm always going to worry. But has he shown enough remorse? Well, he hasn't really shown any remorse yet, but maybe he will in time. But there's always a little bit of fear inside me, yeah. And I don't know if that'll ever go.
They say they hope the parole board will make the right decision.
So, Helen, when will we know for certain whether he will be moved to an open prison?
Look, Jimmy's mum told me that it could be weeks before they know, but I think we need to be really clear that it's a recommendation, not a ruling. Now, that hearing that we're discussing took place on the 16th of December, and Farry applied to be released from prison, but that was actually opposed by the Justice Secretary. Now, the parole board panel said it was not satisfied his release would be safe for the protection of the public, and that he needed to reflect on his attitude, including why he failed to be open and honest. Now, that was referring to him initially denying that he was the drill artist in that music video. Now, the parole board did say that he could be moved to an open prison, which would mean more freedom.
The vast majority of cases are accepted by the Secretary of State, but the Secretary of State has one additional consideration that the parole board don't have to look at, and that's whether he thinks there's a wholly persuasive case for the transfer to take place. So there's always an extra layer of scrutiny and control over these recommendations.
So look, we don't know when a definite decision will be made, but what we do know that it is up to the Justice Secretary to decide whether he accepts the parole board's recommendation.
OK, Helen, thank you. Reform are holding a rally at the Excel tonight, giving Londoners a chance to hear from a future prospective mayor. Layla Cunningham, the party's official candidate for London, has been accused of talking down the capital after she said that people pity Londoners for living in a city full of crime. Well, Kath Opata is at the Excel for us this evening. Kath?
Lucrezia, just a few minutes ago, this auditorium was playing ABBA's Take a Chance on Me. That's exactly what Reform wants Londoners to do, take a chance on them. Now, as you can see, the rally hasn't officially, properly kicked off yet, but I did get a sneak preview of their plans, their policies, when I sat down with their newly appointed mayoral candidate, Layla Cunningham.
I want to be mayor of London because I absolutely adore this city. I was born and raised here. I'm raising my kids here. I started my career here. London for me is a very special place. It resides in my heart, honestly. It made me who I am. And unlike some journalists, I'm not blind to what it's become. And it's sad to me.
What has it become?
It's dangerous. You know, it's not a safe city anymore. I mean, I grew up in London. They definitely didn't have the dangers that we had before.
The homicide rates has actually gone down.
Yeah, and I know that every single journalist I've spoken to has pointed to the homicide rate. But I'm sure you will realise there are more crimes than homicide that are happening. Luckily, we do not have a high homicide rate in London, but what we are living through right now is a rape epidemic, a knife crime epidemic, a shoplifting epidemic, a robbery epidemic, a burglary epidemic.
Lots of epidemics.
And how can we not be living through that when we have a mayor who's basically cut visible policing, closed the police stations, cut public counters?
We're here to talk about you. What will you do?
I will restore visible policing, number one. For me, if you see a policeman walking down the street, that is a deterrent.
So you're going to be tough on crime.
100%.
Let's talk about how the public view Reform. Obviously, London is a very multicultural city. We have black people, Sikh people, people from all over the world living here. Reform, according to a recent YouGov poll, is generally viewed as racist. How are you going to win the election with that narrative around you in a city which is very multicultural?
So I agree with you. London is super multicultural. I mean, I grew up having friends from all walks of life. You know, I grew up near Guilford, used to hang out in Ladbroke Grove. It's not a very white...
See, I'm North Londoner, so...
You're not, well, I'm kind of northwest, but of course it is. And that's part of what makes London great, right? But when I was growing up, you didn't think someone's black, someone's Indian. We were just all Londoners. We were all mates. And what I found now is the narrative is very much about, you know, you're white, you're black, you're Muslim, you're not.
But the narrative is that
and
Reform...
they want to divide and conquer us. For me, London is for all Londoners.
But if the public think Reform are racist, how are you going to overcome that?
Well, then if people do think that, then my role is to prove to them that we are not, that we are for everyone. Because we don't do identity politics.
Well, let's talk about love in London, because your leader, Nigel Farage, he has spoken previously a bit disparagingly about London. I mean, as early as this week, he loves to talk about the North London elites, the Islington establishments. Let's take the voters of Islington, for example.
Sorry?
The voters of Islington, for example. Are they going to vote for you if you have Nigel Farage slagging them off?
Maybe not. You know, I don't need to win all of London to win London. And listen, like you say, London is diverse. It's diverse in opinion and it's diverse in political opinion. All I can tell voters is that if you are happy with the way London is now, if you feel honestly, I say this with real, you know, from the bottom of my heart, I speak to so many families who are leaving London. I speak to young people who do not want to move to London anymore.
When or if you come into power as London Mayor, what will be your first policy? Last question.
Visible policing.
Visible policing.
I want police on the streets the next day, if I can. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, you heard it there, some big and bold plans, visible policing. There is still a few years to go until the mayoral election. The question is, can she hold on until then, and can she win it?
All right, Kath at the Excel there. Thank you very much. Some other news now. An investigation is underway after a man was found dead this morning in Guilford. Police were called around 7 a.m. to Hazel Avenue after a passerby spotted the body. Officers are urging people who are in the Belfields area to come forward with information as they are trying to identify the victim. And a former Chelsea employee has been spared jail for creating false refunds on tickets to defraud the club out of more than £200,000. Claire Walsh, who worked as an assistant treasury manager at the club, admitted dishonestly abusing her position. The 39-year-old was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment, suspended for 18 months. For many, the new year means promises of a new you, but there are warnings. You should always seek GP advice before taking weight loss medication. New research has found a worrying trend of people looking for help from AI tools instead of speaking to a doctor. James Webster reports.
New year for some is time for a fresh start. 2 years ago, that was John Park from Twickenham, who then weighed almost 19 stone. After previous unsuccessful attempts to lose weight, he knew something had to change.
It's important that you get professional backup. There's lots on social media, either positive or negative, lots of negative stuff on social media. It gives you the answers you want to hear, and so does AI.
Since then, with weight loss injections, he's gone from 120 kilos to 93. His waist size down from 42 inches to 34.
Eat less and exercise more. Well, that's very easy to say, but it's not that easy to do. As you can see, it's a bit big.
He sought doctors' advice on whether weight loss medications might work for him, but there are concerns too many people don't. It's estimated 60% of people in the UK are currently classed as overweight or obese. 34% of people admit finding information about weight loss treatments on social media. 27% ask family and friends. Only 21% found more information on the NHS website, and 10% used AI tools like ChatGPT.
When we dug a bit deeper into this information, when we looked at those people who were primarily getting their information from social media, what we also found, which was concerning, was that these were the types of people that felt like getting these medications without a prescription was safe.
And seeking medical guidance before starting treatment should be the first step, according to this GP.
Social media and AI can provide some really good generalised information about these medicines, but they can't assess your personal medical conditions and your drug history to determine if these medicines are safe and appropriate for you.
John starts this year satisfied with the progress he's made, but keen to help other people choose the most responsible way to begin their own weight loss journey. James Webster, ITV News.
Still to come on the programme.
And given that hope, I prefer to think of this as an ongoing reflection of my career rather than a eulogy.
Dame Helen Mirren gets special recognition ahead of this weekend's Golden Globes. Before that, fans of David Bowie will soon have the chance to visit his childhood home in Bromley, the place where he wrote Space Oddity and other hits. Confirmation came from the Heritage of London Trust on the day after what would have been the musician's 79th birthday and the day before the 10th anniversary of his death. Well, the plan is to restore the home and turn it into an immersive experience. And as Carolyn Sim reports, it's a house that turned him from suburban schoolboy to starman.
Number 4, Plaistow Grove, looks like any other Bromley house, but to music fans, it's so much more. This is where an 8-year-old David Robert Jones began his journey to stardom and became the pop icon, David Bowie.
Oh, we can be heroes just for one day.
Now the house has been bought by the Heritage of London Trust, which is going to transform it into an immersive museum celebrating Bowie's early years before stardom. George Underwood, in the middle, was one of his best friends.
It was the bedroom inside the house, which was his sort of domain, you know, and his imaginative processes took place.
Katie Turner and her dog Ziggy live opposite. They are fans, but they're worried about crowds.
Yeah, he's a big deal for us. I know the local community is very proud of having David Bowie as a former resident. They're practical concerns, just how it's going to work for us.
David was 15 when he formed his first band, the Conrads, while he lived in the house. And he wrote the debut single, Liza Jane, for his next band, Davy Jones and the King Bees.
It is amazing to think that in his small bedroom upstairs, it was only 9 by 10 feet. It's where it all began for Bowie. He wrote his early songs here, and 2 years after he moved out, he released his first huge commercial success, Space Oddity.
This is ground control to Major Tom.
Lifelong Bowie fan Clint Lipscomb has visited the house 3 times. He's looking forward to going inside when it's a museum.
Keep his memory going, really. Just good memories, and obviously it was his birthday yesterday, and obviously tomorrow will be 10 years since, his passing.
There's a starman waiting in the sky.
His career took him all over the world, but David Bowie was always proud of his London heritage. Now that history will be forever preserved where it all began. Carolyn Sim, ITV News, Bromley.
Now talking of starmen, Ainsley Harriott is one of TV's most recognisable faces, having graced our screens for more than 3 decades. From Ready Steady Cook to Strictly and The Masked Singer, there's very little he hasn't done. Well, now for his new 10-part travellogue on ITV, well, it takes him to the Bahamas, where he meets the people behind its vibrant island cuisine. Before we speak to him, here's a look at Ainsley's taste of the Bahamas.
The best way to experience the true flavour of a place is through its food. So, I'm off on my culinary travels again. Jump canoe and a little bit of sesame. Scoop it up. Ooh. Come on, grab a plate, loosen that belt, and join me in my quest as I search for a little bit of island zest. Welcome to the taste of the Bahamas.
And Ainsley joins me now. That's perfect, isn't it, for a grey, miserable January? That's what we want to see.
Isn't it just? Instead of sort of switching that kettle on, you've got a lovely cocktail in your hand, beautiful white sandy beaches, turquoise waters, and more important than anything, I think it's the smile of the people, the warmth that they generate. Yeah. It's so, so lovely.
I mean, the Bahamas, not a bad gig. Was that your idea then, Ainsley?
Yeah, better than going to Cornwall on a cold, wet afternoon, isn't it? No, but not my idea, but I'm so glad that people chose me to go down there, because it gave me a real insight into the culture of the place and see how now people are beginning to understand how important it is to eat sustainable fish, to grow your own produce, and there's a lot more of that happening on the island, especially in Nassau, the capital. Really enjoyed it.
Listen, your roots, though, a bit far away from the Bahamas. Wandsworth? Didn't you grow up in
Wandsworth? I'm a local lad, South London boy, aren't I?
South London.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting because that's where, I suppose, is that where you started, you got your culinary desires, I suppose, where you started having this love for cooking?
Yeah, you could say so. I think I've never left my roots, you know, and I've still got friends that I went to primary school with, so I think that's kept me very kind of solid and grounded. Yeah. But you're absolutely right. I think that's where your roots start. You see the change. Yeah. We see the change in your high streets and how much more affluent people have become, or more importantly, how they eat these days. It's not for everybody. I know that, it's up and down, but it's just what we're exposed to now, and the expectation is so much greater.
I mean, look, London's always been famous for having, amazing restaurants, amazing places to go out and eat. You never took up your own restaurant chain. You didn't go down that route yourself, did you? No. But you must know so many people now, because we see it so much, don't we, how restaurants are really struggling at the moment. It's hard. It is
a tough life. It is a tough. I think it's because there's so much more competition. Yeah. To be perfectly honest with you, you walk down your high street now, even just outside here, you walk 20 different places to eat in the space of 100 yards, whereas maybe just 1 or 2 when we were growing up as kids. So I think that in itself has become competitive, but more importantly, it's the price.
It's the cost.
Ever since we go back a few years ago, you might go back to Brexit, things have just increased, tenfold as far as price is concerned. So we do have a price to pay for that, but it doesn't seem to stop a certain group of people getting out there and eating. We all eat out so much more, don't we? We order in so much more. So there's a different kind of attitude towards food.
We do, and a lot of us are also going on social media looking at recipes all the time. That seems to have boomed, all over TikTok, Instagram, all of that. But what else has boomed on social media is you. Do you remember this clip that went viral?
We've only got Ainsley Harriott here, who's going to do a treat dish for you. He's going to cook you a lovely treat in your very own kitchen. Here he is.
Why, hello, Jill. How are you, my love? We got a lovely...
I don't know how I'd cope with Ainsley Harriott bursting into my living room. But that was huge. Everyone knows that moment, don't they?
And Alison Hammond too, these 2 rather large black people kind of coming into your front room and sitting down here. And of course, Jill disappearing. Why, hello, Jill. Jill? Where's she gone?
Everyone loves it, they really do. But there's so much to your strings to your bow, I want to say, because we mentioned we've got Strictly that you did, so you can dance and you can sing, because you did The Masked Singer. I mean, is there no end to your talents? I think we want to see a bit of you. We want to see a bit of you dancing. What did you prefer? Was it the dancing or was it the singing?
I don't know.
There, look at that, in the kitchen scenario. How lovely. Is that... You're not saying much.
Oh, it's beautiful. And the
You're
lovely
stunned.
Natalie, I think she's gone back to Australia now. And we had a lovely time there on Strictly. And yeah, and I suppose it's a combination of the two. And I think it's very much a reflection of my family. You know, my dad was a professional pianist and entertainer. My mum sang in the kitchen. She brought so much joy and lightness and laughter into the kitchen. I think that's very much reflected in the Bahamas series too.
Ainsley,
meeting people with
you
passion.
have got it all. And I want to say the Bahamas, the second episode airs tomorrow morning. Oh, doesn't it? Yes, it is tomorrow.
Yeah.
ITV1, ITVX, Bahamas, homegrown, midday.
Beautiful.
Ainsley, you're a legend. Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
so much for having me. Absolutely
We'll
brilliant.
see you tomorrow. Thank you. All right, sport now. Let's take a look.
Powering local sport in the community. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
New Chelsea head coach Liam Rosenior praised his predecessor for doing a good job tactically as he spoke to reporters for the first time since taking on the role. The 41-year-old signed a 5.5-year deal on Tuesday and takes charge for the first time at Charlton in the FA Cup third round tomorrow.
Outstanding, talented players with huge potentials, but the job for me is to turn the potential into reality. There's a lot of similarities in the recruitment of both projects. There's an idea about the way that the team should play, and I fit into that. You know, so for me, I'm very excited.
And there's good news for Arsenal today with Bukayo Saka agreeing a new long-term deal. It comes after the Gunners missed the chance to move 8 points clear at the top of the Premier League last night after they were held to a goalless draw by Liverpool.
A heavy downpour will subside and light relaxation will set in. TUI sponsors ITV London weekend weather.
Hi there, good evening. Storm Goretti might not have given the capital the worst of the weather that other parts of the UK have experienced, but the weekend, are we going to see something a little bit calmer, at least for Saturday? Goretti will have gone. It will turn more unsettled through the weekend, but with it, milder weather on the way. So Goretti holding on for a little while longer, spilling a little bit of dampness overnight, and then tomorrow a bit of a no man's land of weather before we start to see more wet and windy weather moving in from the west as we head through the back end of Sunday into Monday. The leading edge of that system though might have a little bit of winteriness on it. Back to tonight, well, we've still got a little bit of light patchy rain courtesy of Goretti starting to pull away towards the low countries. The rest of us dealing with generally cloudy conditions, generally dry, but towards the end of the night starting to see some clearer weather developing, and that's going to allow the temperatures to fall to the point where we may see some icy patches and a little bit of a frost, so watch out for that. Tomorrow then, a cold start to the day once again, a little bit frosty in places as I say, hopefully a bit more in the way of brightness compared to the conditions we've seen through Friday. Still chilly though, we're looking at highs of around 3 or 4 Celsius, less breezy though than today, so with a bit of brightness that should feel a little nicer. As far as Saturday into Sunday goes, a cold, frosty, potentially icy night ahead of that next rain band pushing through. Like I say, might see a little bit of winteriness on the leading edge of it before the wetter and windier conditions move through. Already starting to see milder conditions pushing in from the west. It means that Monday we may well be back into double figures. Have a great weekend.
TUI sponsors ITV London weekend weather.
Now, a number of Londoners have made it onto the BAFTA nomination long list, including Cynthia Erivo. She is up for Best Actress for her starring role as Elphaba in Wicked. While you might know him better as Harry Potter's Dudley Dursley, Harry Melling has been nominated for Best Leading Actor for his role in Pillion. And the final instalment of the story of London's favourite singleton, Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy, is up for Best British Film. Well, from BAFTAs to Golden Globes and in a career spanning 6 decades, there is very little Dame Helen Mirren hasn't won. The Londoner is one of a handful of stars to win the acting Triple Crown. That's an Oscar, an Emmy and a Tony Award. And now she's been honoured with a prestigious Cecil B. DeMille Award for outstanding contribution to her craft. And she's also been lavished with a new nickname from her co-star, Harrison Ford, as Siham Ali reports.
We're being watched.
It's harmless.
But I'm not.
London-born Dame Helen Mirren, whose career spans decades and genres, was honoured with a Lifetime Achievement Award at a pre-Golden Globes event in Beverly Hills. But the honour was all Harrison Ford's, Dame Helen's longtime friend and former co-star, who presented it to her.
I just want to sum up one of the greatest actresses of all time in a few seconds. I, for one.
The pair starred alongside one another in the 1986 film Mosquito Coast, where they played husband and wife, before reuniting 36 years later in the TV series 1923.
Pleasure and a joy to listen to you babble on about utter nonsense.
It's not nonsense.
The word that comes to mind is not dame, it's badass.
This week, the pair were back together for this special moment, marking Dame Helen's extraordinary work.
The DeMille Award was described to me as a career recognition, but I prefer to think of it as a life lived, a life survived, a life enjoyed, a life sweated, and a life carried on, hopefully. And given that hope, I prefer to think of this as an ongoing reflection of my career rather than a eulogy.
A career that began 60 years ago, Dame Helen had a resounding stage career in London, where she starred in various Shakespeare plays, including Cleopatra at the National Youth Theatre. She then went on to become a romantic comedy muse in hits like the 1969 film Age of Consent. The Queen of Film eventually went on to win an Oscar for her portrayal of Queen Elizabeth II in 2006.
I doubt there is anyone who knows the British people more than I do, Mr. Blair.
The Golden Globes takes place this Sunday, but for Dame Helen, there's already much to celebrate, both friendship and a lifetime on screen. Siham Ali, ITV News.
A national treasure. And that is it from us. The evening news is next with Charlene, but from me and all the London team, bye-bye. Have a great weekend.